Hola, bienvenidos. El día de hoy estamos aquí con Andrew Howard, él es el jefe de marketing de Jan3. Andrew, how are you?
Hey, Jan, doing very well. Yeah, let's get
Nice.
into it.
That's nice. Well, Andrew, we have a lot of questions to you. The first question is, why do people need Bitcoin?
That's a very good question. That's a very broad question. Um, here's why I would say people need Bitcoin. So imagine what life would be like if the only cars that you could buy were made and sold by the state, by the government. Okay, you'd probably have very low quality cars because they would have a monopoly on cars. You'd have poor customer service. The cars wouldn't last for a long time. And why is that? Because there's no competition. There's no incentive to do any better. And so this is the same exact situation with money itself. The government, the state, has had a monopoly on what we use as money for thousands of years. And so that is all Bitcoin is, simply put, is the separation between money and state. And if you think about how much life changed for so many people when we had the separation of church and state, uh, the world changed drastically after that happened. So this is the next step is in the evolution of human beings technologically advancing themselves is just separating money from state. And so Bitcoin is just higher quality money, and it's the most advanced form of savings technology that we have today. That's why people need Bitcoin.
Okay, nice. It's a very good answer. So, what is your recommendation to the Colombian people
For what?
about Bitcoin? About Bitcoin.
But what about for buying Bitcoin, for storing Bitcoin?
For why the people in Colombia need use Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin?
Well, I know Colombia has high inflation, so that's probably a pretty compelling reason. I've never been to Colombia. I won't act like I know a lot about the country. I mean, more than what I've heard from our mutual friend Juan Galt. Um, but I think everybody needs Bitcoin, really. You have a lot of people in Western countries who are in what we call traditional finance, and they oftentimes don't see the value in Bitcoin. They think it's a scam. They think it's kind of a joke, right? But the reality is that this is the best performing asset of the last decade, and so that can't be ignored. Bitcoin has made a lot of people wealthy, and obviously that's not why we are so passionate about this, but that's certainly a factor that can't be ignored. Um, So I think this just applies to everybody on Earth, really. Bitcoin gives you the freedom to move your money where you want. Um, a lot of people listening to this even may have had a hard time sending a wire transfer to somebody and had questions by their bank asking, "Who are you sending this to? Why are you sending this?" Some people have had their accounts blocked or even freezed, and so why is that? Because ultimately it's not your money if somebody else can block you from sending it. And so this is the ability that Bitcoin gives you. Um, and it's also interesting because we are at a turning point in humanity right now where we are in the digital age. And so it makes perfect sense that we've had the ability to free information for the last 20-25 years via the internet, and it makes sense that the internet would have a native currency, which is Bitcoin. And that's not just me saying this. That's Jack Dorsey, the co-founder of Twitter, literally said the same thing, that Bitcoin is the native currency of the internet.
Okay, well, nice. Yesterday, the government of Colombia published the percentage of inflation in our country, and the last year was about 12.3.4, and yesterday was of 8.4. But uh, we have a lot of inflation. in South America. We are one of the most inflated countries in South America, and yeah, I think Bitcoin can solve this. Well, the next is well, the people in Colombia need knows if Bitcoin have risk.
The only risk is selling it or wanting to buy something with it in a very short time after you buy it. And I actually, excuse me, you're right. Yeah, Colombian inflation rate. I just looked it up real quick. 10.15% in June. That's interesting. So you guys actually have low inflation rates compared to the rest of Latin America.
Yeah, we have
It's not like Venezuela.
no,
Yeah.
but we have a good power with the Colombian peso. We are winning 20% in a year with the dollar, but at the people who have lowest social and economical level, but this is hard living in Colombia. I think this is the second or the third country more cheapest in the world. But
I hear it's a very good place to go on a
yeah,
vacation
the people
for
from
that
another
reason.
country says this is cheapest, but the people in Colombia this is so expensive. So
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, that's the interesting thing. What are the risks of Bitcoin? Yeah, I mean, I would say that I always say never believe anyone's price predictions ever. And nobody knows what the price is going to be. It's been a very good investment since the inception of Bitcoin. But if you're buying it right now and you're hoping you're going to make money next year or 2 years or whatever, um, I wouldn't do something like that. I look at it like it's almost like you're buying a property, In the United States, like people who they bought a house in the 1970s, and inflation in the United States since the 1970s has been pretty drastic over a long time period. This is 50 years we're talking about here, and so you don't buy a house to sell it for a greater profit on a short time frame. Usually, some people flip homes, and that's kind of a different situation. But usually, you buy a property and you hold it for 30 years, and so that's the same way that I would view buying Bitcoin. Is it's a long term savings mechanism, and if you look at the amount of people that are going to go into Bitcoin, it's pretty drastic, particularly with the millennial generation. So the millennial generation compared to the baby boomer generation has a much warmer sentiment towards Bitcoin. Millennials prefer Bitcoin compared to baby boomers by about tenfold, if you look at some surveys. Millennials prefer Bitcoin to gold by about threefold, according to some surveys. I've written articles about this, but basically, the moral of the story is that the estimated amount of wealth that millennials will inherit from baby boomers is anywhere between 60 and 90 trillion dollars, and that's by the year 2030. Okay, maybe a little bit longer than 2030, but more of the story is it's within 5-10 years, millennials will inherit a very large amount of wealth, and a lot of that, it's fair to say, will go into Bitcoin. And so when that happens, because Bitcoin is such a scarce asset, you can't produce any more of it at all, like you can produce more of gold or of silver or of oil or of anything else on earth, really. Um, the most logical conclusion is to think that because you have this asset that is absolutely finite, it's measurably finite. We know that there will never be more than 21 million, and you have a higher amount of demand going into it. The price will probably go up, and it will probably be a very good investment. And so that's the way I want to look at things, is, not trying to be hopeful about something, not trying to be idealistic about something, but just being practical, looking at the world that we're heading into, and why this would be something good to save in.
okay, nice. Well, the next question, some rapid question is, what are your expectations of Bitcoin in 2024 and the expectation of Jan3 in 2024?
Well, I'm not going to give any price predictions for 2024.
No, no, something like that. No.
Yeah. Well, for Aqua, well, for Jan 3, I can say we've had a lot happen just at the beginning of the year. We launched Aqua Wallet on January 3rd, 2024. And for anybody listening who doesn't know why that date is significant, is because January 3rd is the date of what's called the Genesis block, which is the first block in the entire Bitcoin blockchain that was mined by Satoshi. And
Yeah.
so that's the name of our company is Jan3. So we launched Aqua Wallet then. It's now, as we're recording this, it's February 8th. We've had, I believe, 14 or 15,000 downloads of Aqua Wallet so far, which I would call that a success. I think that's pretty darn good. 14 or 15,000 downloads of Aqua just in about a month of launching it. And so I think for 2024, we have a few things. So we have really three things that we're actively working on. First activity that Jan3 is working on is nation state adoption of Bitcoin. And actually, ironically, 2 months ago, our CEO Samson Mao met with your president.
Yeah.
Yes, and talked with him about Bitcoin policy. And so this is something I don't think anybody else is really doing across the world. You have Dennis Porter working on Bitcoin policy in the United States, and I absolutely love what he's doing. I totally support it. But outside of the United States, Jan3 is leading the way with helping people in government understand Bitcoin. And so I think that's only going to continue. We're going to talk with more politicians. We're going to talk, educate them about why Bitcoin is something that makes sense for them to embrace. It's just like if you were to ban the internet in the year 2000, your country would not be doing well right now. That's the reality. Even if you hate the internet or whatever, it's a new technology. It's too important to ignore. You're going to benefit by embracing it. So anyways, that's the first thing. Second thing is Aqua Wallet. So we've had a good amount of success, like I said, and I believe that people, specifically in Latin America, will benefit a lot from Aqua Wallet, or really anybody who's in a country experiencing hyperinflation. The advantage of Aqua is you have not only Bitcoin, but you have Tether on there as well. And somebody who is experiencing hyperinflation, they're going to want dollars. They're going to want to use a platform where maybe they work for a company overseas or somebody overseas. They want to get paid in dollars. They don't want to get paid in their national currency that's inflating at 100% per year or something crazy like that, right? Or even more in some cases. They want to get paid in dollars. And so Aqua Wallet gives them that ability. And the advantage of Aqua is you have just Bitcoin and just Tether and liquid Bitcoin as well. But and right at the top, when you open the app, it says savings account, Bitcoin, and then it says spending account, Tether and liquid Bitcoin. So I think that's a very important thing for people to have in their brain, is that Bitcoin is a savings account and Tether is for spending. Okay. So a lot of things we're adding to Aqua. We're also adding integrations in the marketplace. Pretty much the goal is to have an all-in-one Bitcoin app. So that's another one. And then third one is Jan3 Financial. So we recently launched Jan3 Financial about 2.5 months ago. And what this is it's a place where high net worth individuals, companies, family offices, eventually governments will be able to buy and sell, but obviously we encourage just buying large amounts of Bitcoin via OTC. And so we've had some very interesting clients with Jan3 Financial so far. We've had a billionaire buy Bitcoin with us about 2 months ago with a B, and that's just fascinating from my own perspective to see somebody of that pedigree investing in Bitcoin. We've had politicians buy Bitcoin through Jan3 Financial, business owners. So there are very esteemed people getting into Bitcoin that I have seen from a firsthand experience through Jan3 Financial. And so I think those three things are what we're going to be working on in 2024.
Okay, nice. Well, uh, full answer about Aqua Bitcoin Liquid. Thank you so much. Well, uh, also thing like a recommendation, a Colombian worker with not so much money in a month can win $330. Um, how many Bitcoin is recommendable boy in Colombia for a person who wins at a month 330 dollars?
If somebody's making 350 a month, how much Bitcoin should they buy?
Yeah, how many percentage of her money need boy Bitcoin?
Well, I don't know if I can accurately answer that question because it really depends on the person, right? I think it all depends on the person.
Yeah.
Um, all I can say for in a personal situation is that I wouldn't want to personally invest in anything else. I wouldn't want to invest in stocks or gold or bonds or anything like that. And I think Bitcoin has the most amount of potential. And so I think it makes sense that whatever you're not spending per month, you should just put in Bitcoin. You should also, that being said, I mean, you should be tactful about it. You should have 6 months of savings spent up. And if I were in Latin America, anywhere really, I would have cash. I would have physical cash at my house. I would have several months worth that I can survive off of. Um, but for a long term saving plan, I mean, I would put the rest in Bitcoin. Personally, in my opinion, that's what I think makes the most sense.
Okay, nice, nice. Well, I'm making an investigation. Not as important who is, but for you, who is Satoshi Nakamoto?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, first of all, I guess I have two answers. The first answer, which isn't really an answer, but it's a really good thing that we don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is, isn't it? Because that, the first greatest gift to the world was that he gave Bitcoin to the world, and then the second greatest gift is that he just disappeared. I mean, who created gold, right? God.
Yeah.
I mean, no, nobody. I mean, if something's going to be money, then it shouldn't have a central figurehead representing it. It's just money. It's just something everybody uses, and it's an open source protocol. And it's not like there's anything being hidden in the protocol because it's the most peer reviewed code in all of existence, arguably. So that's one thing. Second answer is I don't know. Putting my tinfoil hat on and being a conspiracy theorist here. Um, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's the NSA, right? Like, who knows? And here's the thing: is you've had people have FUD, FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt. Oh, the NSA created Bitcoin. Here's the thing: if the NSA created Bitcoin, that would make me more bullish on Bitcoin.
Okay.
um, I don't know. I mean, the NSA, like SHA-256 has been used by the U.S. military for a long time. I mean, that's the hashing algorithm behind Bitcoin. Um, I I don't know. If I had to bet, I would say maybe the NSA, or there's another Japanese guy, extremely brilliant mathematician. I forget his name. I should probably pull it up. Hang on. Let me. Actually, no. This video doesn't say his name. Anyways, there are some other people who suspect it's some kind of Japanese professor, but I don't know. I've heard rumors that I had a friend a while back that said he talked to some guy, and this guy talked about something similar to Bitcoin being created, and this was like the year 2005 or 2006, and he said he was part of the NSA, and then he just kind of left, right? I mean, this could be total bullshit,
Uh,
right? I'm just having fun here. But and then Bitcoin, was the white paper was released October 31st, 2008. And so, but he said basically their reasoning was that they knew the dollar would no longer be the world reserve currency in the near future, in the somewhat near future. And so the logic was Well, if we can't have the world reserve currency, then no one can, which would make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that would make sense. You're not going to have the world reserve currency forever. That Holland had it, and then I think Spain had it before that, or I believe so, and then England, and then America, and now we're at this point where America is not going to have the world reserve currency anymore. From a selfish perspective, I almost kind of hope America has the world reserve currency more because I'm American. And frankly, it is an advantage. It is a national strategic advantage to have the world reserve currency. So from a selfish perspective, I hope that the dollar is backed off of Bitcoin, or the dollar is backed by something of scarce value, so that way the currency itself retains value. So long without an answer, but I hope that answers your question.
Okay, you have a full conspiracy theory, but it's a good theory. I have an strange theory. I think it's Dorian Nakamoto. I believe he is.
Is that the Japanese
Yeah,
guy?
Dorian. Yeah, he had.
That's the guy I was thinking of. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a fun thing to entertain. I mean,
yeah,
who knows, who cares? But sometimes you got to put the tinfoil hat on.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think he is. I found people who says he's the Doctor back, Holfini, but I think it's Dorian.
I
Here,
don't I don't hear anything from Dorian. Dorian's not on Twitter.
uh,
Who
uh,
is Dorian?
there is a picture of Dorian Nakamoto in a conference of Bitcoin in Argentina. I think the last year. But you have a good theory. Another rapid question: you prefer bits or satoshis?
Oh, Satoshi's hands down.
Okay, nice. There are people who
Bits
prefer
is the
bits.
dumbest thing. No, absolutely not. Rejected.
Okay, another rapid question. What is the best cold storage for you?
Mm, I would tell you, but I would have to kill you.
Okay, okay. You have favorite podcast of Bitcoin?
What's your podcast called?
Behind the world, behind Bitcoin.
Behind the World Behind Bitcoin.
Thank you. Okay, well,
Yeah, I try not to listen to Bitcoin podcasts. I'm just saturated with Bitcoin content.
okay, well, Andrew, this is the final of this interview. It's a pleasure to talk with you and talk about Bitcoin. I think Jan3 is making some interesting things in the world. More in Latin America, we have a very big problem with our financial things. So thank you so much for that, and thank you for coming and talk with me some minutes.
Absolutely. Yeah, very nice speaking with you, Jan.
Well, thank you so much.
Cheers.